On, everybody, and welcome back to the Rambling Men Sports Podcast. As always, Shane here. James, once again, had to take a week off. Just last week, we had scheduling problems. This week, it just was truly tumultuous for the both of us. But we got my boy Armand here, who is making his second appearance, first since the Eagles won the Super Bowl, and I see that you are rocking your Eagles Super Bowl champs gear. But first of all, how you doing, my man?
I'm doing well. How about you, Shane?
I'm doing very well. I just finished my fantasy football draft. I'm not 100% sure how I feel about my team, as I just told you, but I'm ready to go. Football season's here, man. I'm excited.
I'm extremely excited. Just the waking up and realizing, this Thursday, tomorrow, the Eagles play the Atlanta Falcons in a rubber match, I guess that's how you would say it, rubber match, in an NFC matchup, NFC divisional matchup revived.
Conference matchup, not divisional.
Huh? Oh, yeah, conference. You're right. Conference.
It's all good. But it's good to have you on. I don't even think I've tried to have you on since the Super Bowl, but I've thought about it. But I'm glad I got you on. Like I said last week, but now that it's football season, I want to try to get a guest on every week. That way, like when we do picks, obviously myself and James can keep track of our picks, but I also want to keep track of our guests and see, who can come on the show for a week and deliver the best picks and best opinions and stuff like that.
I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, and especially with football season, everyone loves football here in America. It's different when I have a hockey podcast. You probably don't know a whole lot about hockey.
Oh yeah, no, you should definitely keep me off the show for that.
Yeah, exactly. But football, yeah, everyone's gonna be like, hey man, I want to come on for football. So.
Oh yeah, I mean you'll have people banging down your door.
Absolutely. I had one friend that always bugged me about being on the show, and I asked him, what can you talk about? College football. It's March. I can't really talk about college football in March, so let's hold off a little bit. So, I also love. Does that say Prospect Street behind you?
Oh yes, that back there is the Prospect Street sign from Prospect Street, right in front of Arnold.
I was about to say it has to be. I live, not far from downtown. I'm assuming that's from Morgantown, correct?
Well, for legal purposes, we're going to say it's from somewhere.
It's from somewhere. I like that. But no, I know exactly where that is. I used to live basically right at the corner of Prospect Street and High Street.
Oh, awesome. My first year there, I lived right in Arnold. But it's actually funny how I got this. Somebody did all the dirty work for me.
I am curious to know how you got that.
So one morning, I want to say it was probably a Sunday morning.
And
so after
somewhere
a game day,
not Morgantown?
Somewhere not in Morgantown. I had been walking by, and I saw a street sign on the ground. I was like, let me go out and see this. And saw Prospect Street. Saw the corner, and I was like, no cops are around. Threw it in the trunk, and dropped the car back off to where it was parked in said town. Put it in a trash bag, so no one would know what was coming into the dorm. Left it in the trash bag for that entire year, because just in case, RAs, they're like, oh, hey, you stole a sign. I didn't steal the sign. Someone knocked down the sign, and I cleaned it up. After that, moving to my own apartment for the last 2 years, and boom, Prospect Street forever lives on.
I love it, man. I actually feel like now that you told the story, I feel like you told me that before. For our listeners who don't know, I used to work with Armand in the kitchen of the Mountain Lair Chick-fil-A here at WVU. And I honestly do feel like you've told me that story now that I've heard it.
I mean, there's been a lot of stories told in the back of that Chick-fil-A.
Oh, I know.
But you know what? Quick shout-out, Chick-fil-A. We were number one.
We were, absolutely. It's funny you mentioned that, though. My dad tells this story about roughly the same time as us. When he was in college, he was driving back to his home. He lived at home. And he saw a sign that said, welcome to Danville, West Virginia, in the middle of nowhere in the southern part of the state. Just welcome to Danville. And he was like, you know what? Probably had a few drinks. He said, you know what? I'm going to steal that sign. Sure enough, he did. And he kept it for however many years. Just welcome to Danville. And I thought, man, that'd be so cool. I want to do that living in Morgantown. And I thought, what street could I get? It couldn't be High Street. That's it's too busy. Everyone's going to see me doing it. But one street that came to mind is actually Price Street downtown. And I thought, man, that'd be awesome. I could steal the Price Street sign. I'm back now. Who knows? I just might.
Yeah, hey, if anything, hopefully you'll get as lucky as I. Someone will do the dirty work, and you just do the cleanup.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. But let's get to football. Our first topic, I wanted to start with college football until the big news came out about Aaron Donald and Khalil Mack. We have to start with those two. First of all, Aaron Donald signs extension with the Los Angeles Rams. Made him, hang on a sec, 6 years, $135 million extension. Made him the highest paid player for about 24 hours until Khalil Mack was traded from the Oakland Raiders to the Chicago Bears for I believe 2 first-round picks and a second-round pick. And then he signs a 6-year, $141 million extension. So then he is now the highest paid player. That's roughly $23.5 million per year. I'm curious to know your thoughts on this, Armand.
So honestly, I thought the Darnold deal was way overdue. He should have got this money last year.
I actually said that on Twitter. I said, let's not congratulate the Rams front office. This should have been done 2 years ago.
Exactly. Like, how are you not going to pay one of the highest defensive players in the league? I mean, look, Fletcher Cox got a great deal last year, and you know what? Now the Eagles are tight to the cap. They don't have to worry about it. They have money now to come in for the future for when they got to pay Wentz's big payday. Darnold, I understand it's the same thing out in L.A. Jared Goff, young quarterback, he'll get his big payday probably like another 2 years from now.
And that's exactly what I said after they signed Donald. I was like, enjoy this for about 20 seconds because then you realize you got to pay Jared Goff, and Aaron Rodgers just signed a deal that made him, the highest paid player in the NFL, roughly about $134 million over 4 years. So you got a little bit of time to breathe, LA.
Yeah, I agree. And you know what? But I hope that he comes out and plays the exact same way he has the past 2 seasons now that he finally has gotten paid, so he doesn't have to prove anything. But, because I hate when I see players get all of this money and then that year they're about mediocre or they're not playing up to par where they should be.
Yeah, I agree. What about Khalil Mack? Obviously, it's huge that he got traded.
So I honestly look. I saw a really funny meme over the past week that said it was a picture of actually Chip Kelly saying, "I traded Deshaun. Yeah. I cut Deshaun Jackson and traded Shady," and then underneath was a picture of Gruden saying, "Hold my beer."
Yeah.
Loved it.
Yep.
Absolutely loved it. That was great. But honestly, look, the Raiders are not in that bad of shape. They still have an offense that's going to be awesome. Their defense, their defense is okay. I would say they're probably around top 15, if anything, a top 20 defense, and that's what they're going to be. One defensive end / linebacker is not going to make a difference between winning one game as compared to like 4 or 5 games without Derek Carr.
Sorry, I'm listening. I'm texting James real quick.
No, all good.
Hang on. Super last. Okay. All right. Yeah, I agree with everything you said. I was shocked that they got rid of Khalil Mack, but even the closer we got to the regular season, he kept holding out, and just the more it just seemed like this isn't going to get done, and I kind of don't blame Oakland. If you're not willing to pay him, which is ridiculous, but if you're not willing to pay him, might as well get something for him. I really don't hate that philosophy, but it's stupid they weren't willing to pay him.
Look, if anything, there is one team in the NFL that should be looking exactly what just happened, and that would be the Pittsburgh Steelers. Like, come on now. Your best, probably the second best player on that team besides AB. You're not going to give Le'Veon Bell a contract. You're going to make him sign a franchise tender for the second time, which he still has refused to do. And you're going to go into a season with your star running back still not even practicing.
Yeah. I didn't know this, and I think I've said this on the podcast. He can't be franchise tagged more than 3 times. That's actually false. He can. Just the third time, it's no longer the average of your position. I think it's the average of the quarterbacks in the NFL. So for sure, he's not getting franchised a third time and getting the average of the top 5 NFL quarterback salaries. There's 0% chance of that for a running back.
No, definitely not.
So this brings up a poll question. Oh, but one more thing I will add about Khalil Mack. I'm really bummed Green Bay missed out on him. That was reportedly the team that had the best chance to get him. So I'm a little bummed we didn't get him. I'm not that beat up, hurt about it. What really hurts is he's going to the Bears.
As somebody who eventually will have to face him in the NFC, but I'm going to say, yeah, I feel bad for a lot of teams in the NFC North,
Yeah.
especially Aaron Rodgers. I hope he doesn't get destroyed like he did against the Vikings, goes out for weeks, especially now that Brett Hundley is on the Seattle Seahawks.
Yeah. Well, they got Deshaun Kaiser now. He's the backup. They traded for him. But,
Still, very debatable.
Oh, I know. But yeah, I am a little bummed, and I've seen people trash Green Bay, especially Packers fans, saying, the front office didn't do enough to get him, and every single beat writer I follow, Packers beat writer that I follow on Twitter has said that's 100% not true. Green Bay offered them their 2 first-round picks for next year. Unfortunately, though, those are their own first-round pick and New Orleans' first-round pick. Both teams likely are going to make the playoffs, so both of those picks are going to probably be in the 20s. Oakland looked at that and then went, well, Chicago's offering us their first-round pick for next year, and they're probably going to be in the top 12 or 16 picks.
I would agree on that.
Yeah, so they've got more value and a first next year. Again, probably the same scenario. They got about another top 16 pick in the first round. So I really don't blame the Raiders at all for looking at that and saying, hey, the Bears are giving us better value than the Packers. So unfortunate, but I just hate he's going to those losers in Chicago. But anyway, so poll question. So now that this has been a topic, obviously all offseason, and definitely the preseason with Donald and Khalil Mack being locked up for the long term, and getting monster contracts in the same offseason. But who do you think is the next defensive player that become the highest? I'm sorry, who do you think is the next player that could become the highest paid defensive player in the NFL? Joey Bosa, Myles Garrett, Jalen Ramsey, or somebody else?
Honestly, I think I'd have to go either Jalen Ramsey or Joey Bosa.
Yeah, I think I have to agree. Myles Garrett, I just kind of threw in there because we know what he can be. He battled injuries last year, and he was only a rookie, so we haven't really seen what he can do. I just threw him in there though because of potential. I do think he's probably going to be a guy who could get you 20 sacks a year, maybe after his first contract. But I agree with you. In fact, I think I'm going to go with Jalen Ramsey. I think by the time
that would be my number one choice as well.
I think by the time he's a free agent. Obviously, he's proven himself to be arguably the best corner in the NFL. I think he is. And I think Jacksonville will be willing to pay him an absurd amount of money. And this is another one of those positions, corner, I think you overpay. If you got a good one, overpay for him. Same pass rusher and quarterback.
Oh, I completely agree. You know what? And that's a trend that happens every few years where teams are just going out and paying stupid money to corners. I'll never forget when the Eagles went out and they gave Nnamdi Asomugha I think it was a 4-year contract.
Unfortunately, the Eagles have whiffed on 2 free agent cornerbacks.
Yeah,
in the last 10 years too.
Million. Oh yeah, it's bad. But, I'm happy with it.
It's all worked out. I'm just saying.
Oh yes. But,
all right.
Yeah, no, Jalen definitely over Joey Bosa.
And
sure.
I don't think by much, but Bosa, if he continues, obviously he's going to get a big payday as well. But Ramsey, I don't know, man. He's special. I think he's better than Richard Sherman was in his prime.
You know what? I think I'd have to agree with you. But, I want to see what the tape tells for the next season. But the only reason why I don't say Bosa over Ramsey is because he had the issues signing his rookie contract when he first came into the NFL and with all the contract negotiation, verbiage in the contract, stuff like that. So if anything, I don't think he's going to get as high of a payday, or if he does, he's going to not stay with San Diego. He tests his free agency and he goes somewhere else.
It's actually Los Angeles now.
Los Angeles.
I think I disagree with you there, Armand. The fact he held out as a rookie, couldn't you also argue maybe the Chargers will look at that 2 years down 2 years from now and be like, hey, he held out as a rookie. Let's not do it this time. Let's get him some money right now and just lock him up and keep him on the field.
Yes, you know what? You bring up a very good point. But I want to ask you this: when do you remember? I don't know, in say the past 5 years, did you ever see a report that the Chargers actually paid big money to a player?
That's fair. They're not really paying Phillip Rivers much that I know of, and quarterbacks are making upwards of $30 million. Obviously, it's been a few years, probably since his last negotiation. Once he's up again, it's probably going to be upwards of $25 to $30 million, if I had to guess. But yeah, I think you're right. I can't give you a team or a player that they've had where they've overpaid.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, they let Eric Weddle walk. They let a lot of guys walk. So yeah, I think you make a good point. All right, so let's go to college football. You said yourself you have not, or I don't know if you've said you haven't been paying attention, but you said you got to brush up on some topics. I'm worried you don't know enough about Week 1 college football to talk about it, and in great detail, that is.
Probably not so much, honestly. Been really swamped with going back, being in school, working in school now. So, like, right now I'm, like, knee-deep in I don't know what the heck I'm doing.
All right, well, did you at least watch our Mountaineers Saturday?
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah. Will Greer.
Hell yeah.
Will Greer,
Dude,
man.
he looked awesome.
Yeah, he did.
He looked awesome.
They had me a little worried in that second quarter. I remember I was working. I'm actually working at Chick-fil-A again, but only for another 2 days. Only for another 2 days. But I was washing dishes. I was listening to Tony Caridi, our play-by-play guy, and I just remember doing dishes and just cussing a storm. I was like, we're going to let these motherfucking, Tennessee losers hang around with us. And then sure enough, I got home. We had the lightning delay, and then second half, we just blew it open.
Yeah, I was really worried about that lightning delay. I was sitting there watching the game, and half hour, 45 minutes, all this time goes by, and it's just like, yep, and here comes the plague of Mountaineers blowing some sort of big lead in some type of way.
Yep.
I mean, even though they weren't losing at the time, but
it was only a 6-point lead. It was one possession.
Exactly.
Game. But all right, so some of the other storylines. Again, I don't know what all you paid attention to. Auburn escaped from Washington. They look pretty. That defense looked pretty damn good in the process. Washington didn't play terribly, but that Auburn front seven was no joke. I should have taken the Tigers, and I didn't. But probably the biggest storyline, I don't even know if you watched the game, Armand, but Michigan, I think, struggling mightily against Notre Dame on the road. I think that's the biggest takeaway from Week 1. I don't know about you.
I would actually have to definitely agree. They're playing in a primetime situation, and Jim Harbaugh is just, he's not coaching up to his potential. The offense has got to do what it has to do out there.
I'll give you that. I'll go ahead and do the poll question now that you mentioned Jim Harbaugh. Do you think Jim Harbaugh is officially on the hot seat at Michigan after the loss to Notre Dame?
I'm going to say not yet.
See, I'm going to say so. I think they're getting tired of him, and I think that's a huge mistake. I'm still a Harbaugh guy, but I'm with you, though. At some point, you got to put it together, and he's not doing it.
I would completely agree. Especially after giving him all that money and just the morale that he brings to the team, I think you got to look at that bigger at the moment. And look, Michigan has a down year, maybe if they do this year. Maybe go back to the drawing board, see what you got to do different. But next year, if anything, then maybe get rid of him. But case in point, you can honestly use Dana Holgorsen. Don't get me wrong. You and I would both love the Mountaineers, but how many times are you going to let your team blow big games on national television and still have your job?
That's a fair point. And we're not a program like Michigan.
Exactly.
But yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you to some extent. I do think Harbaugh eventually does have to put it together. He's an offensive guy. He's known for developing quarterbacks. He did it with Andrew Luck. He did it in the NFL with Alex Smith and Colin Kaepernick. But he hasn't been able to do it at Michigan. And Shea Patterson, frankly, didn't look great. I'm not putting that loss on him by any means. That offensive line just could not handle Notre Dame's front seven. And therefore, Patterson looked terrible. But he didn't. It wasn't all on him. That the offense just didn't look good. And I do think that falls on Harbaugh to some extent. I don't know if I'd panic. There's still 11 games left. They could win all 11. I doubt it, but I think if he gets 9 wins, beats a rival, goes to a New Year's Six, probably go to a New Year's Six bowl game and gets another one, gets to 10 wins, I think you got to be satisfied with that. I don't know. After this Week 1 loss.
Yeah, I would agree. You can't really take too much grain of salt on a Week 1 loss, especially because there's a lot of teams that just can come back towards the end of the season and just push themselves into at least the top 25, if anything, the top 20.
Yeah, I will say this, though. It's a lot of people were talking about this team being a playoff team, and I don't see that happening now. It's going to be awfully difficult.
Yeah, definitely agree there.
One other storyline was – we got to talk about this. Hold on. We got to talk about this first. Being Big 12 guys, Texas dropping the opener to Maryland in Landover, Maryland, essentially Washington, D.C. Texas is still not back. I'm curious to hear your thoughts.
Honestly, it's great for us Big 12 guys, but honestly, it's a shame with that what has happened to that program. It's been years since they've had a good coach. They've brought in really good coaches. Just they can't get it together out there. But that loss, that is terrible. But one thing I will take away positive on that note, start of the game, how I loved how Maryland went out there, honored their fallen compadre for passing away from heat exhaustion, and at least Texas denying the penalty. So that was at least really nice.
Yeah, I'll give you that. But yeah, Texas, I don't know what the deal is, man. I thought this year would be – I wasn't expecting them to be fully back. I didn't expect them to win 10 games. I thought for sure they'd be better and win maybe 8 or 9, be a little bit competitive in the Big 12. But this is bad. This is really bad. I think you got to start looking at Tom Herman being on the hot seat now.
I mean, you got to also look at this, right? So they came back in that game. They made that game competitive from the second, third, and into the fourth, and that's where they lost. But you also have to remember West Virginia also has lost to Texas as in the last game of the season last year. So and they've won.
Yeah, but
more
Will
than
Greer
at
got
least.
hurt in that game. It doesn't really count.
Yeah, but still, I mean, you're playing at an away game, us home, and I was at that game, and that was terrible. It was miserable. I hated that game so much.
That was when I mentioned it on the show last week. That's when I went into just this emotionless abyss because Aaron Rodgers was already hurt and done for the year. And I was like, well, at least the Mountaineers have Will Greer. And then he gets hurt, and I was like, motherfucker. And then I just didn't care about football anymore after that.
I don't blame you. The only thing at the time I had going for me was the Eagles, and at the time I wasn't really too sure about that, but obviously we all see how that worked out.
Wasn't long after that, though. Carson Wentz tore his ACL, and everyone, even James and myself was like, all right, the sky's falling, Philadelphia's done.
Hey, who knew that Nick Foles would come out and play the best games of his life?
Absolutely. One more game I think I really want to talk about is LSU and Miami.
Oh, man.
Huge shocker. I don't know about you. I was totally
not
shocked.
Expecting that. Not one bit. Honestly, Miami was a good team last year.
Yeah.
How do you go into a game and you just stink it up right there?
I don't know. That I did not expect that from LSU. I debated picking LSU in the game, but I thought, Miami's got the better coach. They likely have the better quarterback. They got a pretty good defense. I was like, I feel like they'll get it done in Dallas, and LSU just took it to them, man. I mean, that was impressive. That defense, I knew LSU would play good defense, but that Miami's offensive line just could not handle LSU's defense. And I remember, I will say this, I'm glad the storyline wasn't LSU found a quarterback because they didn't. Joe Burrow still was not very good. They ran the ball effectively, though. They just punched Miami right in the mouth, and I credit the hell out of Ed Orgeron. I still don't think he's much of a coach, but I'll give him credit for that, man. That was a hell of a win. They're a whole lot better than I expected. Right off the bat, I think they're better than I expected this year.
Oh yeah, they came out and they made a statement that game.
I agree completely. So let's go ahead and move on to power rankings. Are you comfortable giving a top 10 in college football, or should we just go to the NFL?
I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not going to be able to do that.
Even NFL?
Oh, NFL, yeah.
Okay, let's go to the NFL then.
Okay, sounds good.
Go ahead. Let's go 10-1.
All right, 10-1. I'm going to totally be a homer here. We're going Eagles number 1. Number 2, I would have to say. I mean, you know what? I probably should have had this a little more informed in front of me.
Yeah, right, actually, I don't either. I'm trying to remember my last one.
All right, so I would go Eagles, Patriots, Vikings, Green Bay, Rams, Falcons, Jags, Where are we at here?
I don't even know how many you mentioned.
I'm going to say that's 8.
You said, I just heard the Eagles, and then I think you said the Jags. That's all I remember.
I said Eagles, Pats.
Yeah.
You know what? I'll give you a 9 and 10.
Okay.
So we'll refer back to the video.
We'll assume
after.
that's 8.
All right. Then you know what? Honestly, I'll go Texans, and I will round it off with the Steelers. Steelers at number 10.
Oh, that's very interesting. Steelers at 10? Interesting.
You know, honestly, just because their offense is going to be, no matter what, Big Ben's still throwing that ball to Antonio Brown. Their defense is very good. The only thing that you're still missing is Le'Veon, but still, Jags are still going to be ahead of the Steelers on that for me.
I'm not as high on the Jaguars as everyone else this year, but we'll get into that later with our predictions for the season. But I'm going to go, you went 1 to 10, I'll go 10 to 1. At number 10, I have the Houston Texans. That J.J. Watt's back, Deshaun Watson's back. Bill O'Brien is a pretty good coach. He's won games even without a quarterback, and he finally has one. Hopefully Watson can stay healthy. Number 9, I'm going to go with the Los Angeles Chargers. That has to be the most underrated front 7 in the NFL, especially the defensive line. Joey Bosa, Melvin Ingram. Who's the interior guy? Corey Lugitt. They got some dudes in that front 7. And a damn good secondary, too. Casey Hayward, Jason Verrett. No, I'm sorry, they lost Verrett for the season. But Casey Hayward's one of them, all-pro corner. Used to be in Green Bay. I can't believe we let him go. Then they added Derwin James in the first round. So, damn good defense. Phillip Rivers at quarterback. They got some weapons on the perimeter. Melvin Gordon and a pretty good offensive line. I think if the Chargers already didn't have injuries in this preseason. They lost Hunter Henry and Jason Verrett, I believe. Verrett and Hunter Henry. I think this team can make noise in the playoffs, but I have to see how they fare first before I pick them to go much further. At number 8, I'm going to go with my Green Bay Packers. All because Aaron Rodgers is back. He's healthy.
Sorry. I did not mention the Packers.
I think you did. I'm pretty sure you did. But yeah, they got my dude Aaron Rodgers back. They have a pretty good offensive line. I wouldn't say it's elite, but it's probably one of the top I'd rank it in the top half of the NFL. A very good defensive line, even though their defense isn't great. I think a very good defensive line with Mike Daniels, Kenny Clark, and Muhammad Wilkerson now. They really upgraded at corner, drafting Jair Alexander and Josh Jackson. I think Josh Jackson could have a very good year where he, contends for Rookie of the Year. But yeah, Packers at 7. Or Packers at, 8, I believe. At number 7, I'm going to go with probably, I'm looking at teams here, probably the New Orleans Saints. I like the Saints. I love Drew Brees. I love Sean Payton. Just right there, they ought to be a playoff team. They're obviously much better defensively. They got a good offensive line. Great run game with Alvin Kamara and Mark Ingram. But I do worry a little bit about their pass catchers. Michael Thomas is really good, but they don't really have anyone else. Ted Ginn Jr. is more of a returner, if you ask me. And I do feel like they're relying a little bit too much on young guys. They had about 5 rookies last year that overperformed. How do they fare going into a second season? A lot of guys have a slump. They should still be a playoff team. I expect them to be, a wild card team at the least. But I think we're getting a little too excited about this team. They're relying an awful lot on young guys. Number 6, I'm going to go with the Los Angeles Rams. I don't like this team as much as everybody else. They spent a ton of money this offseason getting Ndamukong Suh, trading for Brandon Cooks, Marcus Peters, Aqib Talib. They should be pretty good, but their schedule sucks. I think that they could really pull back, but I still think they're the favorite in their division. One thing about this team, they have no pass rushers outside of the interior. Donald and Sue, Brockers, they have 0 edge rushers. That's going to be a problem, I think, in the NFC. You got to have dudes
I definitely think so.
Yeah, you got to have some dudes that can rush the passer on the edge. Because you face a team like Philly, they're just going to, with a great offensive line, they're just going to clog the interior.
Yep.
Play a team like Green Bay with great tackles. you're not going to get to Rodgers. He'll bounce. You think he can't avoid the middle of the defense? He'll bounce right out and throw a pass to the outside the
Easy.
pocket. Yeah, same with Wentz. So I just think the Rams could be in trouble. They still should be pretty good though. Number 5, I'll go with the Atlanta Falcons. A very underrated defensive line, I think. A good offensive line. Matt Ryan, obviously pretty good. I think he's going to have a better season than he did last year with another year with, what's his OC's name, Steve Sarkisian. And I think Dan Quinn's a great coach. Underrated defense. Number 4, I'm going to go with the New England Patriots. I don't really like this team, if I'm being honest. I didn't like this team last year, and they were the favorite to win the Super Bowl. And I didn't pick them to win. I really don't like them this year, and I liked them more last year. They have no offensive line. They lost Nate Solder. And then their first-round pick, Isaiah Wynn, I'm pretty sure, is out for the year with an Achilles injury. Edelman's going to be out 4 games. They have an unproven run game. Their front 7 is one of the worst in football. I think they have no pass rushers. They have a pretty good secondary. That's what saves them. But in that division, you got Tom Brady, you got Belichick. They're going to easily win the division. They're probably going to get a first-round bye. But for a Super Bowl team, I don't like them to win the Super Bowl.
If you don't mind, I'm going to interject real quick. You know what amazes me, though? It still amazes me that the wide receivers that the New England Patriots have, even their running backs, I mean, given the fact that they did draft Sonny Gray, and they have Rex Burkhead. Rex Burkhead was an afterthought with the Bengals, and comes New England. They can take a wide receiver that is like a wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3, and they just go in and they're efficient. So that's what it's mind blowing. It's literally just mind blowing.
No, that's right. That's a fair point. Yeah, you're right. But let me wrap it up here with my last 3. Number 3, I have the Minnesota Vikings. They're loaded, man. They're loaded defensively. Great pass rush, great secondary. They even added George Aloka from the Cincinnati Bengals to even provide more depth to that secondary. They upgraded at quarterback with Kirk Cousins. They got great weapons on the perimeter. Dalvin Cook's back from injury. The one area of this team that is, I think, worrisome is our offensive line. I still don't think it's very good. I think it overperformed last year. And I think you got to keep Kirk Cousins upright because they really invested a lot of money in him. So we'll see if they can keep him upright. I do think the Vikings pull back a little bit. I'm not 100% sure they'll make the playoffs. Just that schedule gets a lot tougher.
What? No way. No way. They easily make the playoffs.
I think they could easily make it. I don't know if they will. Number 2, I'm going to go with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Obviously, they have the best offensive personnel, I think, in the NFL. Big Ben. Oh, well, I forgot Le'Veon Bell's out. He ought to be back at some point. I think they'll cave. He'll cave or the Steelers will cave. Either way, he'll be on the field at some point. I say by mid-season he'll be on the field. But Le'Veon Bell, they got weapons on the perimeter. They got a great offensive line. They got a pretty good defense. It's nothing, it's not an elite unit, but it's pretty good. It ought to win them some games. I think this team, honestly, is probably going to be the number 1 team in the AFC this year. They get the Patriots at home, and that's probably going to decide who gets home field advantage in the postseason. Number 1, obviously, the defending champions. I got to go with your Philadelphia Eagles. Until I see otherwise, I think I have to go with your Eagles. Even though they're banged up like hell right now, Carson Wentz is even going to miss the opener. So I think this only lasts about a week. I'm not even sure they'll win tomorrow night against the Falcons. But for now, I have to go with the defending champions at number 1.
Well, real quick, I just want to go on record that every single time I have been to an Eagles game, the Eagles have not lost. I am going to the game tomorrow night. I've been to 5 games. I am currently 5-0. Hoping to make it 6.
Good for you, man. So poll question. Do you think the New England Patriots, because I'm pretty sure they're the Super Bowl favorite this year, according to Las Vegas, do you think the New England Patriots or the field will win the Super Bowl this season?
I'm going the field.
Yeah,
easy.
I'm easily going with the field too. Like I said, I didn't like the Patriots last year, and they were the favorite. Everyone was picking them, and I like them less this year. I'm really not sold on them at all. I'll honestly be shocked if they win the Super Bowl this year. I just don't like their personnel.
Yes, you know what? I would call this right now. I'm going to say that I think that they lose if they make it that far in the AFC Championship game.
I mean, it's hard to go 3 times in a row. Only one team I think has done it, and I'm pretty sure it's the Buffalo Bills, and they were winless each time. The Patriots, as great as Brady and Belichick have been, they've never been in the Super Bowl 3 years in a row. So just throwing it out there, man. It's tough. It's tough.
It is tough.
So let's get into season predictions. I know that's what the crowd has been waiting for. Let's go ahead and get into it. Armand, let's start with some award winners. Who is your MVP for this season?
MVP. I mean, I'm gonna just keep on sounding like a homer, and you know what? I'm sorry that I keep doing that. I'm going Carson Wentz.
Even though he's gonna miss some time.
Yeah, you know what? If the dude doesn't tear his ACL, he wins the MVP over Tom Brady, which I don't think he even should have won last year. There were a lot of other better players I felt that could have easily won that. He didn't have an MVP season. That was probably that was probably an average season for Tom Brady in his winning of MVPs as compared to other people that could have gotten that.
I believe my preseason MVP was... I think I'm going to go with... Who did I pick? Hang on. I'm going to check. Phillip Rivers. That's who I'm going with. Phillip Rivers. I'm kind of going. Yeah, I'm kind of going off the book here.
I like it.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie.
I like to be a little bold. I like to be a little bold with my predictions. Offensive Player of the Year.
Offensive Player of the Year. I think I would have to give that to. You know what? I'm gonna go ahead and give that. You know what? Give me a second. I would like you to go first.
All right. Todd Gurley.
Okay.
He won MVP he didn't win MVP. He was in the running for MVP last year. And I don't like to pick the same guy, even though you're likely, if you win MVP, you're likely going to win Offensive Player of the Year as well. I think the last time it didn't happen was when Aaron Rodgers won MVP, but DeMarco Murray won Offensive Player of the Year a few years ago. But every year since then, I'm pretty sure if you won Offensive Player of the Year, you won MVP as well. But I don't like doing it that way, so I'm going with Todd Gurley.
Okay. Oh, man. Honestly, I think that I would have to go with...
Don't say another Eagle.
No, I'm not. Actually, I'd really like to see... Fudge, I am drawing a blank. Who the heck did you guys just sign as a tight end?
Jimmy Graham?
Yep, going Jimmy Graham. Jimmy Graham is coming out, and he's going to have a party in Green Bay.
Oh, my. That's bold.
If not, worst case scenario, I'm going Julio Jones.
All right, that's much better. Defensive Player of the Year. Do you want me to go first?
Yeah. I should have been definitely more prepared, and I'm sorry for all of you that are watching. I am actually feeling really embarrassed that I was not prepared for this, so I apologize.
I'm not even prepared. I've been winging it. Defensive Player of the Year. I'm going with another Ram, Aaron Donald. He's finally on the field for a whole season. I wanted to pick him last year, but I believe he was holding out at this point and missed 1 or 2 games. So, I'm going with Aaron Donald. A whole 16, going to be on the field hopefully all 16 games. I don't see who beats him out.
I'm actually going to go to Jalen Ramsey.
I like that pick. I actually do really like that pick. But who knows in that division with Andrew Luck and Deshaun Watson coming back from injury.
Yeah, if anything, I think that Watt will win Comeback Player of the Year for sure. There aren't many other people that are coming back off injury. There are some quarterbacks.
I got one for you.
Okay, I'm interested to hear what your pick is.
We'll get to him.
I would definitely say J.J. Watt. Dude's got to be extremely hungry. He's missed past basically the 2 past seasons. And look, you can only do so much charity. Dude's an amazing guy. Yeah. He's coming out, and he's going to wreck shit.
I hope so. I do kind of like him, even though I think he's annoying sometimes. But let's go Offensive Rookie of the Year.
Oh.
Do you want me to go first again?
Yeah.
I'm going to go with the easy one. Just go with Saquon Barkley. I don't see how another rookie outperforms him this season.
Honestly, you know what? I have to agree.
Yeah, I'm not sure he's going to be a 1,000-yard rusher, but I think he could easily be a 1,500-yard guy and get 1,000 yards rushing and 500 receiving. I think he's that kind of player.
I think I can definitely agree on that.
Or like a 900 yards rushing or something, and then like a 600 yards receiving, something like that.
I think he's going to come out and he's going to have a Kareem Hunt kind of rookie season.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, and Kareem Hunt had a great season last year. Defensive Rookie of the Year. I'll go first and let you think about it. But I actually had to – no, I didn't have to think about this one. It was basically between Bradley Chubb and Roquan Smith. And I wanted to go with Bradley Chubb, but I do feel like since he's a very good pass rusher, he will get some attention, and then Von Miller, obviously being the better player, will steal some of his sacks. So I'm going to go with Roquan Smith and think he puts together at like a 100 tackle season, picks up some, a few sacks and gets Rookie of the Year, or Defensive Rookie of the Year.
I'm going to have to obviously go with your other pick here because I really liked Bradley Chubb. Bradley Chubb, to me, I feel like, especially now, like he's learning from one of the best players in the NFL, Von Miller.
Yeah, you're right.
Dude's going to come in, and I say he's going to easily get, I don't know, I'll say 10 sacks.
I'd say easily like 8.5. I won't be shocked at all if he gets 10. 8.5 is a solid season.
I would agree. He's not going to be like Vic Beasley coming in on his second year or his first year.
Yeah, and have 16. He won't have that, yeah.
Yeah, but he's gonna be a special guy, definitely.
I agree. All right, comeback player of the year. You already said J.J. Watt. Is that your final answer?
That is my final answer.
You know who I'm going to go with? Aaron Rodgers.
Okay. I would agree.
That's a better one. I told you it was a better one.
Actually, no. I don't agree, but I like it. Okay, I really like that pick.
All right, so let's go with our division winners now. Starting the AFC East, who you got?
AFC East, I am going with actually, I would go with the Raiders.
The Raiders aren't in the AFC West. AFC East.
Nope.
AFC East.
AFC East.
Damn it, Armand. You should have been prepared.
I should have been prepared. I will go with...
It's not that hard.
No, I know. There's only 4 teams.
And it's an easy favorite.
Yeah, I mean, the Patriots are the obvious choice, so... Yeah, I mean, I have to go Patriots. If anything, I would go with... I mean, I definitely wouldn't pick Miami.
I'm not picking anyone in that division other than the Patriots.
Yeah, I mean, you can't pick the Bills. The Bills they're definitely at least coming in 3rd or 4th. If anything, I'd give the Jets a run for money, but I don't trust.
I think the Jets will finish 2nd in that division. Honestly,
I mean, it's quite possible. I mean, Adam Gase hasn't impressed me as a head coach, and Tannehill not playing football in the past 2 years, basically, it doesn't really do anything for me. I would definitely.
And the Bills are breaking in essentially a rookie quarterback. Even though Nathan Peterman's a starter, we all know Josh Allen's going to win that job at some point. I think the Jets easily get 2nd, and I think the Patriots run away with that division. I don't know about if you feel comfortable with win totals. I think they pull back a little bit and go about 11-5.
11-5? Yeah, I can see 11-5, if not even 10-6.
Yeah, 10-6 really won't surprise me. I'll be a little surprised, just because I do think Belichick and Brady ought to give you about 11, and especially in that division. But they do have some tough games this year, and I hate their offensive line. And you got to have a good offensive line to win.
Agreed. Definitely agreed.
So let's go to the AFC North. I'll go ahead and start things off. Pittsburgh Steelers, I think they run away with it.
Pittsburgh Steelers, yeah, I mean, it's hard to argue that they're not going to run away. I mean, I don't know if they'll run away with it. I think they get it by at least 2 games.
Yeah.
I mean, because you're looking at the Browns, who honestly haven't won a game in 2 years at all. I will say that they win at least 5. The Ravens, that's highly questionable because you got Joe Flacco, who's got, oh God, I'm terrible with names right at the moment. But Joe Flacco's basically, he's got a little bit of fire underneath his ass because they drafted
Lamar Jackson.
Yes, Lamar Jackson, and they've already come out and said that he's going to come in and do special plays. If he's going to come in and do special plays, he is going to take over that starting role at least by week 10. And the Bengals, the Bengals are old news.
The Bengals, I think. I honestly do think they finished last in the division. I think, and it's nothing. It's not a knock against Marvin Lewis. I'm one of the few people that do think he's actually a good coach. He's just in a train wreck of a situation in Cincinnati. But I think they'll go about 4-12. They scrap it this offseason. They fire Marvin Lewis. I don't know about fire. They part ways. I think it's just beneficial for both of them to just say, you know what, we're starting over. Go somewhere else. We're gonna start something new. They get rid of Andy Dalton. And just try to start over. Get a new quarterback. I think that's
wow. You think they get rid of Dalton?
Oh, absolutely. Dalton's Dalton's a joke.
All right. So ready, real quick before we move on to the next part. If Marvin Lewis is gone at the end of the season, do you think that Hugh Jackson leaves the Browns and takes that job?
I think Hugh Jackson's done as a head coach. If it doesn't work out in Cleveland this year, he's been a head coach in Oakland. He didn't get it done there. He's with the Browns. He's been atrocious with the Browns, even though I don't think that's on him. But at some point, you got to win. I think he's done for the most part. He'll probably be a coordinator for the rest of his career after this.
Fair enough.
But yeah, I think the Steelers run away with this division. I think they get home field advantage in the AFC. I like them to go about 12-4.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, I can see them going at least 12-4, or if not 11-5.
Yeah, they'll be somewhere in there. I think as long as Roethlisberger's healthy. AFC South.
Worst case scenario, they go 10-6 if Le'Veon does not return by week 4.
I think that's fair. I don't know. I can't remember who they have in their first 4 games, but I could see that, especially if he sits out 4 weeks. AFC South. I honestly think all 4 teams could really push to win this division. Tennessee, Jacksonville, Houston, Indianapolis. But I'm going to go with the Houston Texans. They got a great defense even without J.J. Watt and Whitney Merciless last year. They're back. They're healthy. Deshaun Watson's back and healthy. They got some good weapons offensively. They do have a bad offensive line. But I do think just Watson's that kind. At least Watson can avoid pressure. He can run and avoid pressure and get kind of like what Russell Wilson does in Seattle. Just kind of get by with his legs, and I think Watson can do that. And I like Bill O'Brien as a head coach. They're going to get a 4th place schedule this year, since they finished 4-12 a year ago and finished last. But I like the Texans to get it done at about 10-6.
I'm not going to lie to you. Honestly, I think that this division is going to be the best division to watch.
I think so
in
too.
the NFL this year.
Well, no, NFC South, but I agree with what you're saying. This is going to be an entertaining division.
Yes. I'm going to pick the Jags because I love what they do on defense. Their defense is nasty. Only part about that entire team that I'm not a fan of, Blake Bortles.
I don't trust Blake Bortles, man.
I'm not a Blake Bortles fan. For those of you who are Jaguars fans, Justin, I'm giving you a shout out right now.
Our friend Justin, who has tried to be on the podcast, we keep having trouble with him.
I will take them as my AFC South champion. But if anything, I'm going Jacksonville. I'm going the Texans. I'm going Indianapolis, and then the Titans.
I just don't like Jacksonville, man. I know they're great defensively. I don't like Blake Bortles, though. And they only won 10 games last year, and they didn't face Andrew Luck or Deshaun Watson.
True.
They lost 2 games to Tennessee, and Tennessee was terrible.
This is true, but also
I just don't know. I don't know what to expect.
Marcus Mariota. I don't know. I feel like he still hasn't come to his own in the NFL for a man who was supposed to be the greatest quarterback coming out after Andrew Luck. All right.
I don't think anyone said that.
Over there, with Chip Kelly. But actually, the only thing that would minus Blake Bortles that surprised me is the wide receiver situation that they got going on down there. So that would make me, if anything, I would change my champion, but I'm going to stick with the Jags.
Okay. All right, that's fair. AFC West. I'm going to go with the Los Angeles Chargers. It's wide open, man. The Raiders are clearly rebuilding, getting rid of Mack and some other guys, and they didn't even draft well. Kansas City, I think you got to keep an eye on, but I don't really know what to expect from Patrick Mahomes. Denver, I still think is rebuilding. They don't have a quarterback, so I think the Chargers are the clear favorite.
Chargers definitely will definitely finish in the top 2. I don't know. I feel like John Gruden's going to pull something out of his ass, and I think he will win this division. If anything, it's by a very small margin.
Oh my, you're going with the Raiders?
I am going with the Raiders.
Oh my.
I personally, I like the Raiders for some odd reason. Is it a team that I would pick all the time? No, but I like them over the Broncos. Who, I mean, yeah, you got Case Keenum brought the Vikings to the playoffs, but who knows? That quarterback situation last year. It's not just the quarterback. If you have 3 quarterbacks going there and they all suck, then guess what? It might not be the quarterback. It might be the
who
offense.
knows if they even have a coach in Vance Joseph. We don't really know much about him.
Exactly. Running game, I'm not really too sure about. Their defense, obviously, is always great. And then, who's the last team? And Kansas City. Patrick Mahomes is definitely the big question mark with Big Red.
If he performs well, though, I think that team wins the division.
I agree. If all the reports that he threw nonstop interceptions throughout the training camps and he comes out there and just lights the world on fire, then hell yeah, Andy Reid's still got it. But if not, I'm seeing them finish about 3rd or 4th.
I give them second place. I think they're going to sit around 500. I don't see them winning more than 10 games. All right, but I got the Chargers finishing 10-6. I originally had 11-5 until the injuries to Jason Verrett, very good corner, and Hunter Henry, a very good tight end. They still got a lot of talent, though. I think it's fair to say, though, those injuries probably make them pull back a game, even though they did add Antonio Gates just a few days ago, or brought back Antonio Gates.
Yes, brought back Antonio Gates. I think the Raiders win it at 9-7. I think 9-7 wins that division.
I'll tell you right now, if the Raiders win that division, they're going to be about 9-7. All right, so wild cards. Who's your number 1 wild card?
Number 1 wild card, if the Texans don't come out in first place in the South over the Jags, it's going to be the Texans for sure in the AFC. And with my second choice, I would definitely have to go with that's a good question. Honestly, Patriots are going to win theirs. AFC, I'd probably give it to the Chargers. Definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. Mine too. I will pick. I don't like doing it. I will pick Kansas City to be one of the wild cards. Everything I've heard about Mahomes is he's looked pretty well. He's looked pretty good. His numbers in the preseason have looked pretty good. He's got weapons. He's got a great coach to help him out with his development. I'm going to roll the dice and take a chance on Mahomes. I do think he performs well, and if he does, that team is going to be a playoff team. And my other wild card, I'm going to go with the Baltimore Ravens. I'm going to throw another curveball.
Wow.
I really love their defense. I love John Harbaugh as a head coach. It all rests on Joe Flacco, though. And I do think he's motivated. He's looked pretty good in the preseason. I still don't like some of their offense, but I do think their defense is good enough. They were 9-7 last year, and their offense was terrible. I do think they made some upgrades. So I think they're probably both the Chiefs and the Ravens are going to be about 9-7.
If you had to substitute the Ravens, what other team would you put in there?
I'd take Jacksonville. I don't like them, but I'd take Jacksonville. Or no, I'm sorry, the Colts. I'd take the Colts first.
Okay.
Andrew Luck's back, man. Andrew Luck's back.
Oh, I agree. I love Andrew Luck.
I'd take the Colts and then the Jaguars. Those would be my number 7 and number 8 teams in that division or in that conference.
If I were to change one of mine, if anything, I think I would go the Titans.
I think the Titans pull back, man. I don't believe in Mariota anymore. New head coach. I just don't know what to expect. They got a great offensive line, though. So let's move over to the NFC. Do you want to start with the East, or do you want to save that for last?
We can save it for last.
Okay, let's save it for last. NFC North, then. Being biased, I have to officially go with my
Green Bay Packers to win the division. And I'm going to be 100% with you on that.
I thought you would. I thought you would fool me and go with the Vikings.
No, go Pack, go.
Go Pack, go. Absolutely. Aaron Rodgers is healthy. They made some upgrades offensively. Jimmy Graham obviously being one of those guys. Mercedes Lewis being another. Who else did they add? They brought back Tremont Williams, Muhammad Wilkerson on the defensive line. They had a great draft, in my opinion. They get a third place schedule, so it's very favorable for them. I think that they not roll, but I think they do pretty well. I say about 11-5.
I will definitely say 11-5, if not even 12-4. You know, I love Aaron Rodgers. You know, what's there not to love about him? You know, I honestly think that the Vikings, if anything, they will come up just short, just a little bit. Yeah. Just because I'm really not a fan of Kirk Cousins.
You and James aren't, and I guess just because you were in the NFC East and you faced him twice a year, you know him better than I do. I like him. I think he's pretty damn good. But you and James don't like Kirk Cousins. You both seem to think he's mediocre.
I would say he's above average.
Okay, I'll accept that. I do like him though. All right, so moving on to the NFC South. This is probably going to be the most competitive division. Not competitive, but probably the best division in the NFL. You got two teams I think who are Super Bowl contenders right now in Atlanta and New Orleans. And then Carolina's pretty good. And then Tampa Bay, like, if they can put it together, even though I don't think they will. They have talent to make a playoff run.
I think Tampa Bay is the only question mark.
I know. Division, yeah, I agree with that 100%.
I mean,
I was just throwing it out there. I think they could be if they piece it. I think they could be a playoff team if they piece it together.
See, like I don't even know. I think if anything, I still don't see him making it.
No, I don't either. But
well, my reasons are because one, you got Ryan Fitzpatrick coming in. He's going to be your starting quarterback for the first couple weeks. Look, he hasn't played a good game in probably the past 2 years since he was actually a full-time starter. And he
hasn't been necessarily good since the Jets year, and that was 3 years ago.
Exactly. And honestly, I think that the Jameis Winston project is definitely over.
Oh, I think so. I want to ask you this. I'm the only one that thinks this. If he struggles and the Bucs have like the worst record in the NFL, do you think they scrap it and start over and get rid of him?
I would think so. If anything, I think they do what they did I think they do what the Broncos did to Paxton Lynch. Cut him.
I think so too. I think if he doesn't piece it together, if they don't go at least 500, and that's including his 3-game suspension, I think they scrap it. There's talent there to be an 8-8 team, and they don't have a coach. Jameis Winston has not struggled, but just hasn't been that good. Their defense isn't that good. They made some additions this offseason. I feel like they're trying to have one more run with this roster before they just scrap it. Front office is gone, new head coach, new quarterback, everything.
I completely agree. If anything, I mean, I feel like their defense has definitely gotten a lot better. For the defensive line, they've put a lot of great upgrades and a lot of great players on there. But for the winner of this division, I would have to definitely go with the Saints.
Okay. A record prediction in there?
I
will say this. I think the winner of this division gets home field advantage in the postseason.
I think that the Saints will go 13-3.
Wow. I won't be shocked. I just think, wow, that's impressive. I won't be shocked, though. I'm going to go with the Atlanta Falcons. I'm playing devil's advocate here. Sorry, I'm itching. I'm not doing anything else. I'm scratching something. But yeah, I'm going with the Atlanta Falcons. Like I said with the Saints, I love the Saints. I love Drew Brees. I feel like they're relying a little bit too much on some young guys. I don't like what they did in the offseason. I don't like that they didn't add any more pass catchers. But it's Drew Brees. He's going to make pass catchers out of nobody. I get that. Their defense should be pretty good. But I like the Falcons because I like Matt Ryan with another year with his signal caller. Or I don't even know if you call him a signal caller. But offensive coordinator. They got 2 really good running backs. They got a great offensive line. We know they have weapons on the perimeter. Defensively, I think they have a very underrated defense, especially on the defensive line. They got 2 linebackers I think are pretty good. Deion Jones. Maybe it's just Deion Jones. I can't tell you the other one. But Deion Jones is pretty good. And I think a decent secondary. It's not an elite secondary, but it's pretty solid. Keanu Neal and Desmond Trufant. I think this team wins about 12 games. I like their schedule. the way their schedule looks this year.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely like their defense. Obviously, their offense is definitely something to look forward to. But you know what? I mean, who knows? I mean, if anything, I think that Matt Ryan actually has a little bit of a down year.
He had a down year last year. How much more of a down year can he have?
I mean, hey, you have it. He's got one new wide receiver. I mean, who knows? You know, you got to get. Look, my thing is you got to get Julio Jones the ball in the end zone.
I agree. They almost did in that playoff game. Almost doesn't count. Almost. So NFC West, let's go over there. Honestly, Armand, I tried like hell to find another team to pick instead of the Rams. And I think a lot of people are hyping up the 49ers. The 49ers, in my opinion, is the Chargers of last year. A lot of teams were looking at the Chargers last year like, hey, I think this is a playoff team. And I thought, I don't think they're there yet. I understand the hype. They're not there yet. And this year, I think it's the 49ers. With Garoppolo, Shanahan, they got a pretty good defense. Everyone's like, man, this team could be pretty good. I'm like, I don't think they're there yet. I give it one more year, and I think they're a playoff team. What do you think?
Honestly, yeah. I mean, the Rams are going to win this division. But
I agree. I think Seattle and Arizona are rebuilding. San Francisco is kind of in that in-between. They're not exactly – they're kind of rebuilding, but they have enough to where you're like, man, they can make a playoff – at least make the playoffs. Maybe not make a playoff run, but they can make the postseason.
Honestly, I think that San Francisco will finish either second or third.
I think they're second place, yeah, easily.
I see the Seahawks finishing in last. I think they fall off majorly, and I would have to say that. Oh wow, what am I thinking of?
Arizona.
I think Arizona surprises people.
I do. I actually don't hate that idea. Josh Rosen has apparently looked pretty good. He's got guys on that offense who have been in the league a while. David Johnson, Larry Fitzgerald, being two of them. Their offensive line is bad, though. It's really bad. They do have a pretty good defense, though. First-year head coach, I don't really know what to expect. I don't hate that pick, though, the Cardinals finishing third. I think they could potentially finish about 8-8.
Yeah, I mean, you never know. I mean, Sam Bradford, he's a very accurate quarterback, probably one of the most accurate quarterbacks in the NFL.
Too bad he can't stay healthy, and he's got a bad offensive line.
Yes, I agree. But, hey, you know what? He's got some good receivers. And look, the running back. You know, I am really interested to see what's going to happen with David Johnson, especially he's going into a contract year. And you got to almost think about that, like fantasy football wise. You know, any year that you know a player is going into a contract year, they're going to go balls to the wall. And the fact that he sat out 15 and a half games for a broken wrist. Come on, stop it. 15 and a half games. That, like, I'm pretty sure a lot of the time they were protecting him, or like he maybe didn't feel comfortable. But I think 15 weeks for a broken wrist is a little much. If anything, yeah, a leg, something, ankle.
I don't know. Wrist is important for a running back. It's not like he's a quarterback, you know, who's using his wrist to throw. But I mean, you got to carry the ball, man. You can't be giving the ball away.
I mean, I completely agree, but still, there's a lot of pads that you can put on here.
That's fair.
Ball's going either here or going here.
That's a fair point. But I do agree. I think the Rams win this division. Although I think they pulled back. They won 11 games. I don't see them doing that this year. I think they win about 10. I won't be surprised if it's 9-7. They have a really tough schedule. But I look at the rest of this division. I don't see a team that's going to outperform them this season. Except maybe San Francisco, and I think that's asking a lot of San Francisco.
All right, real quick before we move on to the last one, who is your most look-forward-to player on the San Francisco 49ers, besides Jimmy Garoppolo?
That's who I was going to say, Jimmy Garoppolo. I don't know. Gosh, I don't even know. I'll say their first-round pick. I'll say Mike McGlinchey.
Okay.
I don't really know anyone else on their roster off the top of my head.
I would say either their tight end. If not, I would have to go with Marquise Goodwin.
Okay, that was another one I thought of was Marquise Goodwin. But obviously I want to see how Garoppolo does. That's another guy I think we need to pump the brakes on just a tad. He didn't play poorly, and they won. That's why we're hyping him up. His stats really aren't that impressive.
Hey, but right now, he's the only undefeated quarterback in the NFL.
I hear you.
at 5
I
now.
actually like Garoppolo. I hope it works out with him. But
I hope it does. I hope it does as well. But I mean, I still think that it was very ballsy of him to come out last year and say that he's better than Tom Brady. Wait till you at least get one Super Bowl ring there.
you have to believe you're the guy, man. You have to believe you're better than the dude in front of you, or else you're not going to compete.
I mean, I agree, but to publicly come out and say, "Hey, I'm better than Tom Brady," how many other guys are going to come out and say that?
I mean, I get it. You're going to laugh at him, but I don't hate it. I understand his logic.
Hey, I mean, I agree, definitely.
All right, so Super Bowl 53 picks. Who you got?
Well, actually, you missed the NFC East.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. You're right. NFC East. I already know the answer, but go ahead.
Oh yeah, I mean, definitely going to go Eagles. But if anything, second place.
Hang on though. I will say this. No team in the NFC East has won the division back-to-back years since the Eagles did it, and I think 03 and 04.
Yeah, I mean, hey, it's hard to deny those facts with being, what I personally believe, what is the best division in football.
Most competitive,
this year,
without a doubt.
There are going to be some really good division battles right now, especially with a lot of teams that are getting up more and competitive. But I think that history is going to go either with them or against them. If anything, you can go back and refer back to the Giants. The Giants, after coming off that Super Bowl win, they did not have a very good year afterwards, but yet they made it back 2 years later. So, if anything, I mean, hey, I'm going with the Eagles, repping the shirt, going to the game tomorrow. But if anything, I really don't like the Washington Redskins. I think that the Dallas Cowboys come in last. I'd say that the Redskins finish in third, and sadly that the Giants finish in second.
I'm actually going to go with the same thing. I'm going to go with the Philadelphia Eagles, even though I just told you that nugget of information that no team in that division has won it back-to-back years since the Eagles did it. But the Eagles did it, so maybe the Eagles can do it again. But I look at the rest of this division, and the Eagles have the best combination of offensive line and defensive line in the division easily. That's without a question. Carson Wentz will be back. He will play well. It's gonna be 2 or 3 weeks, but he will be back and he will play well. I will say that. They have good weapons offensively. Their defense is great. They have a good coach, I think, in Doug Peterson. Their schedule is tough, though.
It's very tough.
Yeah, I won't be, and they have some injuries. I said 11-5 a few weeks ago. I think it might be 10-6 now.
I mean, after looking at who they are playing and when, I would have to definitely say that 10-6, if not 11-5, definitely wins this division.
I don't see
12
wins. I don't see 12 wins with this team.
No, I mean,
and I don't see below 10 unless there's a ton of injuries.
Yes, I mean, look, 12 wins. If they pull that out, hey, I'm not going to be complaining. Yeah. But it's a really hard schedule. They're playing a lot of good offensive and defensive teams. I mean, they're already at a negative 2-point spread for tomorrow. I mean, I'm really hoping that that's an Eagles line and that they can come out and they can win that game. I'm hoping that Nick Foles is going to come out and not play like he has all preseason. Honestly, I hope that the offense does not come out and play how they played the entire preseason, because that was piss poor and pathetic. Not one offensive touchdown with the first team.
Yeah, they have not looked good. I also forgot about the wild cards. Who are your NFC wild cards?
NFC wild cards. I'm going to have to go with, let's see, I picked the Saints in the South. I would have to go the Carolina Panthers as one of them. And my second one would have to be, let's see, I think the Vikings. I mean, I feel like that one would be an obvious one.
You don't think the Falcons make the playoffs this year?
Hey, you know what? I think that the Carolina Panthers are going to surprise some people.
All right. I'm going to go with the New Orleans Saints, and they're going to be like an 11-5, I think, wild card. And then my last pick, honestly, I went back and forth. really between three teams. It was the Vikings, the Giants, and the Cowboys. And I think the Vikings pulled back. They had a lot of breaks last year, and I'm not just saying this as a Packers fan. They had a ton of breaks last year. Aaron Rodgers got hurt. Their defense was healthy all year. Their offensive line overperformed. They did lose Dalvin Cook, but I mean, that's the one injury they had outside of their starting quarterback.
You're also missing the biggest one, the whiffed tackle in the playoffs.
Exactly. I was going to get to that, but they shouldn't have even been in the NFC Championship, in my opinion. So, and they get a first place schedule now. They have a tough schedule. Kirk Cousins, first year, new system, new team, new offensive coordinator. I don't think it's ridiculous to say maybe he pulls back a bit and struggles, has a down year. They get some more injuries defensively, even though I don't hope that. I never wish injuries on anyone. I don't like the Vikings this year. I still think they're a playoff team. They could make a run, but I just don't like them this year. Give it another year, they'll probably make the playoffs again. But with the Cowboys, this is who I had for a long time, but they don't have any pass catchers, and they just lost Travis Frederick for the foreseeable future because of a weird autoimmune disease. I don't know. Yep. That's a huge hole now in the middle of that offensive line. I'm still not 100% sold on their defense, even though I think it's underrated. So I'm actually going to go with the New York Giants as my last wild card team. They made a ton of additions. Nate Solder, Will Hernandez on the offensive line, Alec Ogletree on defense. That defense should be better. They obviously had a ton of injuries last year. You're likely not going to have as many injuries this year. They got a fourth-place schedule. They made the biggest addition all offseason, which was Saquon Barkley. I think this team is built to win now. Not necessarily win a Super Bowl now, but win games now. But it all depends on Eli Manning. And I still think I think he still has at least one more good, pretty good year in him before he really declines. I think they just sneak in at probably 9-7.
So you're saying 9-7?
Yeah. I said all offseason about 8-8, but now I'm saying 9-7.
Okay.
All right. So Super Bowl picks. Who you got?
Oh man, Super Bowl picks. This is tough. You know what? I want to let you take the lead on this one.
Want to let me take the lead? Gonna be quick. Pittsburgh will represent the AFC. Atlanta is gonna represent the. Did I say that? I said Pittsburgh would represent the AFC. Atlanta will represent the NFC. And this, I don't know if you know this. The Super Bowl is in Atlanta. Home game for the Falcons, essentially. I'm gonna go with the Falcons win their first ever Super Bowl. Third time's the charm, man. Third time's the charm. They get to the Super Bowl. Third time's the charm. They finally get it done.
All right. The only thing I do not like about your pick right at the moment is the fact that not one team has ever won the Super Bowl in their home stadium. So that's where you.
Hey, the Vikings had their shot. They blew it, but
hey, they did have their shot, but you know what? The Birds came and flew away with them.
Oh, I know, man. Go Birds.
I would have to go for the AFC. I forget who I picked for my divisional champions. But you know what? I'll go with the NFC first. As much as I would love to see the Eagles go back-to-back, I don't think that they will get there. I honestly believe that I think that the Packers will represent the NFC.
No.
And I believe that the Jaguars will represent the AFC.
Why are you picking Green Bay, man? I hate that. All right, who you got winning it all?
I think I have to go. Sorry, Shane.
Son of a bitch.
I'm gonna have to go with the Jaguars.
Oh, I thought you were gonna pick Green Bay. Good. I don't care about that. I thought you were gonna go to Green Bay. I was like, don't pick Green Bay. But no. You're gonna go with the Jaguars to win it all.
Yep. I say it's a close game.
That's shocking. That's all I'll say. That's shocking.
But you know what? Deep down, go Birds. They're gonna win. They're gonna go back to back.
Speaking of the Birds, we're gonna go ahead and go with our Week 1 picks. Tomorrow night, Falcons at the Eagles. Eagles are a 2-point favorite. Who you got?
Going Birds.
Going with the Birds, are you? Hang on, I'm writing all your picks down so we can keep up with them. All right, so NFL, you're going with the Eagles over the Falcons.
Yep.
Unfortunately, I'm going to go with the Falcons over the Eagles. Eagles have too many injuries right now. Nick Foles is starting. He looked bad in the preseason, man. Maybe having a week off will help him, get some confidence, get away from it for a while. But I'm going to go with the Falcons. I think they upset the Eagles at home, upset their Super Bowl defending champions party or whatever.
That's fair.
All right, so Sunday matchups. Steelers at the Browns. Steelers are a 3.5-point favorite.
I'm going with the Steelers. The Browns do not get their first win against the Steelers in the first game of the season.
I agree. I'm going with the Steelers as well, but I think it's a dogfight. I'm going to say Steelers by a field goal.
Wow. Okay. Nice. I like the prediction.
Bengals at the Colts. Colts are a 3-point favorite.
I'm going with the Colts. Andrew Luck is going to come out, and he is going to be throwing that ball all day to T.Y. Hilton.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Colts as well, and I think they cover. I think Cincinnati's going to be bad, man. I think Andrew Luck might struggle a little bit, but Andy Dalton's awful. So I think the Colts just get it done.
I don't believe in their run game. I don't believe in the Bengals' run game whatsoever. Joe Mixon, I think he's an okay running back. He doesn't get it done.
We'll see. Titans at the Dolphins. Titans are a 1.5-point favorite.
Oh, man. I'm not going to lie. This line screams Dolphins for me.
Yep.
Dolphins are going to win.
Yeah, they've actually played, I think, the Titans in Miami the last 2 years, and I think the Dolphins have won. Maybe they just have their number. I'm actually going to go with the Dolphins as well. Mike Vrabel, head coach of the Titans, his first NFL game as a head coach. Who knows what's going to happen? I'm not sold on Marcus Mariota on the road at home. So yeah, I think the Dolphins get it done and pull off the upset at home. Texans at the Patriots. Patriots are a 6.5-point favorite.
As much as I would love to pick the Texans, unfortunately I think I have to go with the Patriots. I'm going with the Evil Empire right now. But wait, is Deshaun Watson playing?
He should be. I haven't read anything, but I'm sure he will.
If he starts a quarterback, no. You know what? Screw it. I'm going to change this right now. I picked it earlier this week, or actually I picked it last week. I picked the Patriots under pressure, but going on the record, Texans win.
This is tough. Texans obviously have a very good defense, especially a defensive front against New England's offensive line, which I don't like. And Brady's without his security blanket and Julian Edelman for the first 4 games. Unproven run game. I won't be shocked. Actually, I think I'm going to agree with you. I'm going to go with the Texans as well. I think a healthy J.J. Watt and Jadeveon Clowney, Whitney Mercilus could wreak havoc on the Patriots' offensive line.
Agreed. And also, just because I know you had a fancy draft earlier, let's go DeAndre Hopkins. I got him on my team this year. I need him to ball out.
Yeah, hopefully Deshaun Watson can bounce back after his injury. Who knows? I think he'll get it done. I think he can make just enough plays to steal this win. Who is next? The Bucks at the Saints. Saints are a 9.5-point favorite.
Got to go with the Saints.
Yeah.
No thought on that one.
Yeah, I'm going with the Saints as well, and I like them to cover. I think they win this game going away. Jaguars at the Giants. Jaguars are a 3-point favorite.
I'm going with the Jags here. I mean, Saquon's going to come out. He's going to have a tough day running against that defense for sure. This is going to be OBJ's first game back since his injury. But you know what? I mean, I'm not high on Eli. Really not high on Eli.
Yeah, I'm going with the exact same thing. I'm going with the Jaguars on the road. I think that front seven, even though I think the Giants made some nice upgrades to their offensive line, sometimes it takes time for an offensive line to find some chemistry and click. So I think the Jaguars front seven could really do some damage. I think you're right. Saquon Barkley has trouble running the ball. Eli Manning has trouble finding open receivers against that secondary. I like the Jaguars to get it done. Bills at the Ravens. Ravens are a 7-point favorite.
Oh, got to go with the Ravens.
Yeah.
I don't trust the Bills at all. If anything, I'm seeing Shady getting that ball. I do not see the quarterback play being very good for the Bills.
Yeah, I don't either. I like the Ravens going away as well. I think they win and cover. Chiefs at the Chargers. Chargers are a 3.5-point favorite.
I'm going to actually have to go with the Chargers here. Until I see Patrick Mahomes playing an actual regular season game, given the fact, they got Tyreek Hill, they got Kareem Hunt. Their offense. Sammy Watkins. They got a lot of weapons on that offense. Their defense is still pretty good. A little suspect at corner, but I think that the Chargers take that.
I agree. And for everything you just said, I got to see Patrick Mahomes. Who are you talking to?
My dad.
Okay. But yeah, I got to see Patrick Mahomes first. I like the Chargers to win and just barely cover. Win by about 4 or 5 points. I think it's going to be a close game. Seahawks at the Broncos. Broncos are a 3-point favorite.
I'm going with the Broncos. I don't like the Seahawks this year. I personally need Chris Carson to perform because I have him on my fantasy team. I know you need Russ Wilson to perform.
Yeah.
But honestly, I think that the Broncos are going to come out. They are going to definitely cover the spread. And I think that the Seahawks win. I think, if anything, I'm going to say this right now, for the season, I think that they win 7 or 8 games.
Yeah. I'm going with the Broncos as well. This is about a string of about quite a few picks we've had where it's the exact same. Actually, I think it's been the exact same since the Thursday night game. But I'm going with the Broncos as well. Bradley Chubb, Von Miller against the Seahawks offensive line. I think Russell Wilson's going to be running for his life. Redskins at the Cardinals. Cardinals are a 1-point favorite.
I am going to go with the Redskins. I am really excited to see what Alex Smith is going to do with Washington, as much as I hate the Redskins. But I don't think that the Cardinals gel together with a new head coach right away. I think it's going to take them a couple games to get broken in. So, Redskins.
I'm going with the exact same thing again. I'm going with the Redskins for the reasons you just said. Arizona has some new faces, especially Josh Rosen, even though I don't think he's going to start. But Sam Bradford's likely going to start. And the new head coach, I just don't think they have it quite right now. Redskins have the better quarterback, probably better coach as well. I think they're more ready to win right now, so I'm going to go with the Redskins as well. Cowboys at the Panthers. Panthers are a 3-point favorite.
I'm going to go with the Panthers. I don't like the wide receivers for the Cowboys. You're basically looking at what your number one guy is going to be. Cole Beasley, essentially. He's your main pass catcher. Next to him, Tavon. You got Gallup, who they just drafted in the first round. And Zeke. Zeke is going to be the focal point of that offense. No doubt about it. He's going to be getting the most targets, the most carries. He's going to be run to the ground this season. But one man can't. He's the one man, if anything, who could change it. But got to go with the Panthers.
I'm actually going to go with the Cowboys. You need one thing you got to have to win on the road is a great run game, and the Cowboys have it. Even without Travis Frederick, I think they still have a pretty good offensive line that will be able to block Carolina's front seven. And Carolina doesn't have a very good secondary, so I think Dak Prescott can find some holes in their secondary. And Dallas's defensive line, I think, is very underrated, and Carolina has a terrible offensive line, and Cam Newton's not very accurate. I think Dallas gets it done on the road. All right, Bears at the Packers. Packers are a 7.5-point favorite.
Go Pack, go.
Yep, that's my guy. I'm going with the Packers as well. Everyone's hyping up Khalil Mack and the Bears, and I get it. It's a great addition. He's been there not even a week. He doesn't know the system. New team, new system. I just don't think he's ready to go right now. Aaron Rodgers at home, Sunday Night Football, coming up the collarbone injury. He's going to want to put on a show. I think the Packers win and win by about 2 scores. All right, the Monday Night Football. I'm sorry. The Monday Night Football games. Jets at the Lions. Lions are a 6.5-point favorite.
All right, I don't know what you're going to pick here, but I'm going to go, I think, with the upset. I'm going to go with the Jets.
I want to do that. I'm gonna go with the Lions first. I think it's one of those games where like the Jets lose, but you knew they were the better team. I think the Lions maybe pick up a bad turnover from Darnold, and that ends up being the difference in the game. I'll go with the Lions, but I think the Jets cover. I think the Lions win by like 1 or 2 points. Rams at the Raiders. Rams are a 4.5-point favorite.
I'm going to go with the Raiders.
Really? Raiders over the Rams. Interesting. I actually liked that pick a few weeks ago, but without Khalil Mack now, and some of the moves they've made, since the rosters were trimmed to 53, I'm going to go with the Rams. I don't know what to expect from Oakland's defense. I think Sean McVay is going to have a good game plan.
I think so as well, but I honestly think that the mind of John Gruden is going to come out, and he's going to surprise some people.
I hope so, man. I hope so.
The fact that they had the preseason LA Rams versus the Raiders, and he played nobody, I think that was great. I
also just realized it's Monday Night Football, his own gig, and he's the first. He's coaching on Monday Night Football.
He's excited. He's going balls to the wall.
I hope Gruden makes it work. I just don't think they'll get it done this week. Game of the week: 49ers at the Vikings. Vikings are a 6-point favorite.
I'm going to go with the Vikings. Jimmy G goes defeated to start the season.
I'm actually going to go with the upset. I'm going to take the 49ers on the road for the reason you just said. Jimmy G, undefeated. He's still rolling. They ended the year, with 5 wins in a row. They're rolling. They had a decent offseason, decent draft. Shanahan, another offseason, or a whole offseason, I should say, with Shanahan. He wasn't with him last year. I like the addition they made, getting Mike McGlinchey. I think that could really help counter Minnesota's front seven. So I'm going to go with the 49ers to win, but just barely by field goal. All right, so that's our NFL. So poll question, which matchup in NFL Week 1 are you looking forward to watching the most?
I think, honestly...
Outside of your Eagles.
Well, yeah, besides that, I wasn't going to be a homer on that one for once. Honestly, I think I would have to say either the Chiefs and Chargers or the LA Rams versus the Raiders.
Okay. I'm going to say James's pick real quick. He sent me his. He has the Falcons over the Eagles, Bengals over the Colts, Ravens over the Bills, Saints over the Bucks, Patriots over the Texans, Vikings over the Niners, Titans over the Dolphins. Giants over the Jaguars, Steelers over the Browns, Chargers over the Chiefs, Cowboys over the Panthers, Skins over the Cardinals, Broncos over the Seahawks, Packers over the Bears, Lions over the Jets, and Rams over the Raiders. So those were his real quick. I had to rattle them off quick. He didn't even give me reasons why. So let's go over to college football. This will be the last thing we talk about for the most part. I've had you here long enough. So Saturday, you don't know college football as much as probably I do, but do you feel comfortable making some picks?
I'll definitely make some picks. I got my cheat sheet right here in front.
Okay. All right, so Mississippi State at Kansas State. Mississippi State is a 9.5-point favorite.
I got to go with Mississippi State for sure.
Really? I tell you what, my friend. I'm going with the upset. Taking the Wildcats. Wow. Bill Snyder, baby. Bill Snyder, man. We know Bill Snyder. We're Big 12 guys. Don't doubt the silver fox that is Bill Snyder. He'll get it done.
But, 2 weeks in a row, the SEC goes down to the Big 12? I don't know.
Hey, they were 13-1 last week. That's an awfully good win percentage. Got to be brought back down to reality. Duke at Northwestern. Northwestern is a 3-point favorite.
I'd have to say I go Duke. I'm going Duke.
Duke, really? I do like David Cutcliffe as a coach. I'm going to go with Northwestern, though. Impressive win last week over Purdue on the road. They get extra time to prepare since the last game was on Thursday night. So, and I like Pat Fitzgerald as a head coach. I think the Wildcats get it done at home against Duke. So third game, UCLA at Oklahoma. Oklahoma is actually a 30.5-point favorite.
Yeah, and they're going to stay that way. Oklahoma definitely crushes UCLA.
Yeah.
Chip Kelly, I am really sorry. I loved you at one point in my life, but no, Oklahoma is too nasty.
I agree. Oklahoma looked really good last week against FAU. 30.5 seems ridiculous for a fellow Power 5 opponent, but UCLA just lost to Cincinnati at home. I think they lost their starting quarterback in the process. I think Chip Kelly will get it done at UCLA at some point. Just year one's tough, man. And they're going like from a kind of pro-style offense to more of a spread offense, just a tough transition there. I think Oklahoma gets it done and wins comfortably. Georgia at South Carolina. Georgia is a 10-point favorite.
I mean, South Carolina played really well this past week, but, I mean, they also were playing Coastal Carolina. But I think that Georgia definitely takes the win on that.
Yeah, I'm going to go Dogs as well. But I do think I think that place is going to be rocking, number one. This is a tricky game. I think Will Muschamp will have a good defensive game plan for the Dogs' offense. And I think they will cover, but I still like the Dogs to win. I think they win by a touchdown. Colorado at Nebraska. Nebraska is a 5.5-point favorite.
I mean, I think I have to go with Nebraska for sure.
I honestly don't know about this game. I like Scott Frost. It's his first game, though. They had a week off last week, a bye week one. That's just weird. I don't know what to expect from the Cornhuskers. I think I'm going to go with Colorado. I think the Buffaloes get it done on the road. They're like year 5 into their, what? I'm trying to think of the right word. They've had their coach, I think Mike McIntyre's his name, for 5 years now. So they're deep into his style of play, his system, his players. I just think they're more ready to win right now than Nebraska. Nebraska's going through a transition with Scott Frost. I just don't know what to expect. I think the Buffaloes get it done. Iowa State at Nebraska. Iowa State at Iowa. Iowa is a 3.5-point favorite.
Man. I think I have to I think I have to go with Iowa. They played pretty well last week. I really didn't get a chance to watch Iowa State. But, it's a rival match.
Yeah.
They're going to go after it. Especially the fact they're playing at home. I have to just give it to them for those reasons.
Yeah, Iowa State actually really shows up for this rivalry. Even when they're not like a very good team, and Iowa's usually pretty good, they always show up and sneak up on Iowa every now and then. I'm going to go with Iowa, though. I'm going to go with the Hawkeyes. They have a legit quarterback, I think, and Nate Stanley. They're well coached, even though I think Iowa State's well coached as well. In Iowa City, though, at Kinnick Stadium, I'm going to go with the Hawkeyes to get it done. It's gonna be a dogfight, though. All right, Clemson at Texas A&M. This is where College Game Day is. Clemson is a 11.5-point favorite.
Oh man, College Game Day. Miss those days.
Hey, Tent City. I was there for that.
Tent City.
We were working right underneath it at Chick-fil-A. Tent City was right above us.
That was the worst day of my life at work because I knew I had to work that day and I had to miss the game.
Oh God, you didn't miss much.
Oh yeah,
I'm still heartbroken.
I'm gonna have to go with Clemson. They're gonna come in. They're gonna stomp it. They're gonna come into College Station. I think that they win at least by 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, I agree. I'm going to go with Clemson to win and to cover. A&M, they're loaded with talent. They got Jimbo Fisher as a head coach. But again, another first-year head coach. I don't really know what to expect from him in a big game like this. I will say this, though. At least Jimbo Fisher is familiar with Clemson, so there's a part of me, I guess, that thinks A&M might make this a game. But Clemson has too many athletes, too many good players. They're well coached. I think Clemson wins and wins fairly comfortably. I say by 2 scores as well. Virginia at Indiana. Indiana is a 6.5-point favorite.
Ooh, that one's tough. I think Virginia played pretty well last week, right?
I have no idea, honestly. I don't know what to tell you.
I'm pretty sure Virginia actually won a pretty big game last week. I'm not 100% too sure.
You're probably thinking of Virginia Tech. They beat Florida State.
No, you are 100% right. I'm not really sure on this one. I'm just taking a shot in the dark. I'm going to go with Indiana.
Yeah, I'm going with Indiana as well. I don't know. I know Virginia's coach is. It's Bronco Mendenhall. But I want to say they've lost a lot from their team last year. They're breaking in a new quarterback on the road against a Power 5 team, Indiana. Just a tough game. I'm going to go with the Hoosiers as well. I don't know much about either team, but I'm going to go with the Hoosiers at home. Kentucky at Florida. Florida is actually a 14-point favorite.
I don't know if you know this, but I am secretly a big Florida fan.
Oh, God.
But I have to go with Florida over Kentucky.
Yeah. I'm going with Florida over Kentucky as well, but I'm going to take Kentucky to cover. I think this game is pretty close. Just 14 points is a lot for a fellow SEC team.
I would completely agree. I kind of think that point spread is a little out there, but
and I don't know much about Dan. I know Dan Mullen's a good coach, but again, they're going through a transition at Florida.
Very big. And they got a lot of nice recruits coming in for this year. And their secondary is actually pretty good. I mean, they got a lot of like 4 and 5 star guys coming in, and I mean they are known as DBU.
Yep.
So
I think Kentucky covers though, but Florida will win. But I like Kentucky to keep it within that spread. All right, so here we go. Penn State, two teams I hate with a passion, but Penn State at Pitt. Penn State is a 8.5-point favorite.
Man, Penn State at Pitt. I mean, I have to agree with you. And it sucks. So I just started a new job. All these people, they're all Penn Staters. And I'm just like,
that sounds
great.
Horrible.
But the only thing I can agree on with them is that we both hate Pitt.
Eat shit, Pitt. Absolutely.
Exactly. I mean, Penn State has definitely that edge over Pitt. I mean, Pitt has won some upset games last year, but I don't really like them that much this year. I'm going Penn State.
Yeah, I will say this, though. I think Pitt is a team to watch out for in this game. I do think Pat Narduzzi's a decent coach. I think they have a decent quarterback. I think Pitt makes this a game, but at the end of the day, I think, what's his name? The head coach at Penn State, James Franklin, will have the Nittany Lions ready to play after a scare last week against Appalachian State. I think they're going to be more physical, and they're going to get it done, but I won't be shocked if Pitt makes this a game.
Yeah, I mean, completely agree with you.
And obviously an in-state rivalry.
Oh, yeah, in-state rivalry. And that game last week, nuts. The fact that it went into overtime, I thought Penn State was going to lose that game to Appalachian State. So, I mean, I hope that they come with a fire underneath their ass to come beat Pitt.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Michigan State at Arizona State, West Coast game. Michigan State is a 6.5-point favorite.
I'm going with Michigan State.
What'd your dad say?
That personal stuff.
Okay. Yeah, I'm going with Sparty as well. Arizona State actually looked really good last week against whoever they played. I think it was Nobody Cares University. But Michigan State, Sparty, we know they're well coached. This team looks pretty good, even though they struggled last week against, I think, I don't even remember, like Utah State or somebody. But I don't know what to expect from Arizona State. Herm Edwards, first-year head coach there. I like Mike D'Antonio as a head coach. I think the Spartans get it done, and I actually like them to cover as well. I'm going to say they win by about 2 scores. All right, so game of the week, another West Coast game. USC at Stanford. Stanford is a 4.5-point favorite.
Oh, man. USC, they got a run game. I think a running back that is very highly talked about at the moment. And I mean, Stanford has been continuously getting better over the past couple of years. I'm really glad this is actually the game of the week. I think it's going to be a great matchup. But you know what? I think I'm going to have to go with I wish I could give you more stats. Wish I knew. But I think I have to go with Stanford. Deep down, I really want to pick USC, but I'm going Stanford.
Yeah, I think this could be a very intriguing game. Stanford did not look particularly good last week, and I think I heard Bryce Love, their star running back, struggled even last week against a Group of 5 team. But USC is breaking in a new quarterback, second game of the year, on the road against a very tough opponent. I'm going to go with Stanford at home, but I think USC keeps this close. Just because of David Shaw, I think Stanford wins this game. I think they find a way to get it done. All right. Poll question, which matchup are you looking forward to watching the most in Week 2 of college football?
All right, let's see. I'm going with my options over here. I think I'm going to have to definitely go with USC Stanford.
Yeah, I agree. I'm going to have to stay up for that game. I love that watching those Pac-12 after dark games. They're usually always pretty entertaining. But yeah, I'm going to go with Stanford against USC as well. I do have some. I'll go ahead and recap these poll questions from last week, I guess. Do you think Urban Meyer's 3-game suspension was a fair punishment? 89% said no. This is about what I expected. 11% said yes. Poll question number 2. Do you think any professional athlete deserves to earn $80 million in less than a year? 67% said no. That's about how I felt. A little closer, though, than what I figured. For those wondering, that's referencing to Aaron Rodgers, who just signed his big deal. He's getting paid $80 million between now and March. That's ridiculous. But I love it. I love it, man. Do you think Odell Beckham Jr. should be the highest paid wide receiver in the NFL? Actually, split right down the middle. 50% said yes, 50% said no. Armand, be the tiebreaker.
I can't deny his production. I'd have to go though with no, because I think that AB still holds that above him. I mean, you can't deny Antonio Brown. Dude's been playing out of his mind for the past 5 years.
I think that's fair. You heard it here first. So 55% said no. 45% said yes now. Do you think Khalil Mack, this is actually funny, do you think, this actually happened, the original poll question was, which player do you think gets a long-term deal first? Aaron Donald or Khalil Mack? I posted the video on Friday, right when Aaron Donald signed his extension, so I had to change the poll question. So it became, do you think Khalil Mack gets a long-term deal by the start of Week 1? 63% said no. That was on Friday. On Saturday, he gets traded and signs a long-term deal. So, unfortunate. 63% of us were wrong, and I was one of those people. Which Week 1 matchup in college football are you looking forward to watching the most? This was actually pretty much a tie for all four. 33% said Washington and Auburn and Michigan and Notre Dame. And then 17% said Miami and LSU, and then Virginia Tech and Florida State. So, no use in being a tiebreaker now. The college football Week 1's over. Pretty entertaining. But Armand, thank you for coming on, my man. Oh, I know what I meant to do. I meant to give James college football picks. Let me find those. Where did he? Oh, those are in my inbox. He sent me. All right, he's going with Mississippi State over Kansas State. He's going with Duke over Northwestern, Oklahoma over UCLA, Georgia over South Carolina, Nebraska over Colorado, Iowa over Iowa State, Clemson over A&M, Virginia over Indiana, Florida over Kentucky. I think Penn State over Pitt. He's going with Arizona State over Michigan State, and then Stanford over USC. So those are James's picks. But Armand, thank you, my man. I kept you on pretty long. We're running on almost 2 hours here.
Oh wow! Hey, time flies when you're having fun.
Hey, absolutely. Most of this might be just us having technical difficulties. Who knows? We were on and off so long with this video call. But yeah, thank you for coming on again, my man. Kind of last minute too. I think I asked you on Monday night.
Hey, you know what? If I can come back on at some point later on this football season, I'd be glad to. Those of you who are watching, I plan on definitely being more prepared than I was for tonight, so I apologize for that. But, hey, you know what? Let's keep on rambling.
Absolutely. I like that. We didn't even think about that. Let's keep on rambling. Absolutely. But, yes, thank you once again, Armand, for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. NFL starts Thursday night. Falcons at the Eagles, and then we got college football. NFL Week 1, the rest of Week 1 obviously starts Sunday. A lot of good games to look forward to. Go Mountaineers, go Pack, go.
Go Mountaineers. Fly, Eagles, fly.
Fly, Eagles, fly. Go Birds. Thanks for listening. Have a good one.